Before we continue, we'd like to give a shout out to one of our sponsors, Newcastle Business District. The Newcastle Business District continues to promote, develop, and enhance our downtown business area through community projects, promotions, and economic development. It was first created in 1983 under the name Newcastle Business Association and was renamed Downtown Miramichi Business Network. This was following Newcastle's incorporation into the new city of Miramichi in 1999. In 2006, it was renamed again to Newcastle Business District. Despite the many changes in its name over the years, the organization's goal has always remained the same, which is to further enhance the active growth of the downtown business community. Newcastle Business District. Shop Downtown Newcastle. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Corcoran Entertainment Show. I'm your host, Franky Corcoran, coming at you today with our last Tuesday episode of the year, or of the season of the show. Basically how it's going to go. So, of course, we have this week's episode coming out on Tuesday, December 18th or 19th. 19th, is it? Yeah, 19th. And then our season finale is going to be out on Saturday because I'm going to be taking the week off for Christmas. And that'll wrap it up for this year of the podcast. And we will be back with season 3, all new episodes starting on Tuesday, January 2nd. And as you guys know the usual rigmarole, and back to regular Tuesday episodes. So thank you all for joining me, of course, on this journey. It's been a great time. We just did episode 100 last week. It was a long episode. For those of you guys who listened to the whole thing, thank you. Not sure how many of you listened to the whole thing because I knew it was fairly long, but had a great time doing it. Have a great time doing this podcast, period. And just thank you guys for supporting it still. It means a lot. So just a couple things before we get started today. First off, you guys will know who follow us on social media. There were 2 things that I put out. One is our Night of One Acts, 2 amazing one-act plays. Very funny, very heartfelt shows that we're doing on January 12th at the Beerbrook Kin Center. Tickets are $25 and can be purchased at the door or by texting or calling 506-624-3315. Calling ahead is encouraged. It's a one-night dessert theater, so it kind of just helps us and the bakers and stuff know what to prepare. So if you could call ahead, if at all possible, it would be greatly appreciated. And just give us a rough number of what we're dealing with and what we should prepare. So there's that one. Next up, you guys also probably have noticed, of course, we had to postpone Playhouse Choral that was set to happen back in November. We are looking at early March, sometime in March, we're thinking. Reg is doing awesome. He really appreciates everyone's heartfelt messages and thoughts. He's on the mend. He's doing great. He got the green light. He's allowed to get back up and running. And so it's just great. Very thankful that everything's going to be okay with him. He's doing awesome. He's healthy. And show must go on. But we're definitely doing it as... make it easy on him as humanly possible, easy on just everything we can do to make it a pleasant experience. And so, yeah, so stay tuned on that. I kind of announced because I knew there were some people, when they found out that we were doing a dessert theater, they were kind of like, what's going on? Like, is Playhouse Choral canceled? No, Playhouse Choral still happening, and we're going to be announcing when we're doing it very soon, sometime early next year, around March or so. Stay tuned. So that's all I have for those announcements. So moving onto the show today, our guest today is Cody Renee Cameron. Cody Renee Cameron, she is an actress, model, stunt performer. She's actually appeared on 2 movies on Netflix that I am such a huge fan of. Of course, El Camino, a Breaking Bad movie, and the recently released Old Dads. Of course, the directorial debut of Bill Burr. She starred in both of those, and she's also appeared on shows like Mayans M.C. and a hell of a lot more. She is here to talk a little bit about her new YouTube series, Riding Route 66, which you can find on YouTube on her channel at Iron Pony Show. Say that again, at Iron Pony Show, all one word. uh definitely be sure to check it with that. And great conversation. Talk a lot about dogs, motorcycles, Breaking Bad, all that good stuff. Very fun person, great sense of humor. And so she fit right in with the show. So after that, later in the show, I'm going to be talking about we have this is something I just think it's crazy that it's been 2 years since Spider-Man No Way Home came out. So I thought, 2 years, let's do a throwback review. So I'm going to do a throwback review to Spider-Man No Way Home to celebrate the 2-year anniversary. And then later, I want to give my thoughts on, it was announced that Lucky Hank, which is, of course, the new Bob Odenkirk series that was on AMC this past year, has been canceled. It's not getting a season 2. Which is a bummer, but we'll talk more about that later on. And anyways, guys, without further ado, sit back, relax, and enjoy the last Tuesday show of the season, at least until 2024. Anyway, enjoy the show, guys. All right, hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Corcoran Entertainment Show. I'm your host, Franky Corcoran, and today I am joined by an actress, model, stunt performer, motorcycle rider, all that good stuff, Cody Renee Cameron. Cody, how are you?
Woo! So good. How are you?
I'm good. I have to add in the audience applause sound effect to this too.
I heard him. I was like, yeah.
In your head, yes, perfect. There we go. I'll have to edit it all in. We were talking before we started recording your IMDb bio, which, by the way, guys, definitely be sure to check it out. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but just a little glimpse of it. I thought it was really neat. Cody Renee Cameron is a cool cocktail compromised of raw acting talent and badass stunt work sprinkled with sexy and then shaken and poured into a chilled glass. And so it goes on from there. I just gotta say, I love that. How did you how'd you come up with that? Were you like, I want like there were two options for a bio. I can just keep it simple, or I can just, write something real fancy. How did you come up with that?
Well, I feel like I've read other people's bios and they're just so basic. It's like, I am known for these three things. I am from here and I am this years old. And I was like, I love entertainment. So let me make this a little bit more interesting.
Yes, there you go. Put the entertainment in entertainment.
Exactly.
So I see on here too. I was kind of going through your IMDb page. I love. You have a dog named Cheeto. I love that name for a dog. What kind of dog is it?
Keto is a Chihuahua poodle, and she actually got her name because when she poops, it looks like little chocolate Cheetos.
Oh, That's perfect. Yeah. How'd you come up with the name for your dog? Well, I made it based off his poops.
Yes, I was like, oh my gosh, those look like chocolate Cheetos. And she looked at me with her big ears and she was a puppy. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's your name, Cheeto. So
It all just kind of worked out from there. And so Cheeto also appears from what I've heard. Cheeto also makes some appearances in some of your projects as well. What's it like working alongside your own dog on screen? Not many people
oh
can say
my
that.
gosh, I love it. She was in a oh gosh, what was the name of the band? She Wants Revenge music video, or she's been in a couple big projects, and then she's been in a bunch of indie things with me. She's a little older now. She's 15, so she has a spicy personality. She does not listen anymore, but she could do so many tricks before, and she rides motorcycles with me. But now I got a puppy 3 years ago during COVID, and I've trained him, so he rides motorcycles with me and stuff now. And his name is Chopper, very appropriately named.
All the CHs, so then you'll get like a whole bunch of dogs, Chad or Chance or something like that. You'll just come up with all
Exactly.
these
We gotta
different
keep a
names.
theme. I love a theme.
Yes, got to keep it consistent. Keep her consistent. Um, I gotta say, so I mean, one thing that I've learned. I mean, I got my dog last March. He's a year and a half. He's a golden doodle, and I gotta say, I never realized until I got like my own dog just how what's the word, like just how much they help you through all the stressful times, especially like you're working on so many different projects and stuff like that. You come home, you're tired, and then you just see that dog and you're like, why am I angry? Like, why am I stressed? Like you know what I mean? Like, what's it like with your dogs? Like, do you find like once you get so stressed out, once you see your dog, it's the same as me where it's like, oh my God, I need to just take a step back and just realize, why am I so mad? Why am I so stressed?
Totally. Dogs are serenity. And even this morning I was a little tired. I got up at 7:30 and Chopper especially, he wakes up like he didn't know if he was gonna wake up. And he's like, oh my gosh, we're awake again, another full day of things that we get to do. I'm so excited to be alive. And I'm just like, I just want to take that energy and live every day like I didn't know if I was gonna get to have today, and now I get to have it. It's so freaking cute. I'm obsessed.
And with dogs, you can't be mad at them. Like if they wake you up early and it's a bad day, I'm just like, whatever, it's fine. Like you know what I mean? Like
Totally.
I could never be mad at a dog unless like I don't know. My dog broke my good earbuds there the other day. I dropped it on the floor and he went to pick it up and he just chewed it all to pieces. I'm like, oh, there's like
Oh,
almost
no.
$200 there gone. But whatever, it's a dog. I'm like, I can't be mad at you. I said, you're lucky you're cute. So, have they ever done
Yeah.
moments where you'll yell at them and you're like, oh God, no, I can't. I just can't do that.
Well, Cheeto, my senior, is in diapers now. And so it's just so much work. And then she has to get medicine twice a day. And we've had so many like vet bills and stuff. But like, I would spend all the money in the world just to have another day with her. So I'm just so grateful. But yeah, when she poops her diaper, sometimes I wonder, like, is this what I signed up for? But it is. And I love it. So.
Better than kids. Better than kids. Or people say, do you have kids? I'm like, yep, I got one a year and a half. And they're like, oh, what that dog. I'm like, it's that's my kid. Don't question me.
Exactly, for
Don't judge
sure.
me. So that was a great first discussion. I was like, as soon as I saw a dog named Cheeto, I had to ask you about that. So I had to ask. So I once I found out you had a part in for those of you guys who don't know, of course, anybody who knows me knows how big of a Breaking Bad geek I am. Like literally, I'm such a nerd for that franchise and all that. You played a part in the Breaking Bad movie El Camino as a one of the escorts during the it's like the big climax of the movie. Spoiler alert, by the way, for those of you guys who haven't seen El Camino. I think I just there's a climax of the movie with escorts in it. That's one thing that you guys, spoiler alert. What was it like working on that movie? I just guess because it was, it's not an exaggeration for me to say that was probably like one of my most anticipated movies of all time, and probably for a lot of other people because I mean it's Breaking Bad. Were you a big fan of Breaking Bad before you got on with the movie?
Oh yeah, I think Breaking Bad was revolutionary. There was nothing like it. It was so unique and cool and so well done. Bryan Cranston, just incredible. Aaron Paul and when I auditioned for it, they kind of, Hollywood does this thing where they're like, "Oh, it's like, Vince Gilligan, the showrunner. It's like a side project for YouTube." Like I literally thought I was doing like a YouTube short or something. I had no idea. And I booked it and I still didn't know. And then it wasn't until I was on the plane there that I was kind of like, oh, we're like in first class. And I'm kind of starting to realize, like, oh, this is like kind of a big deal, that it leaked that there was a movie. And my manager's like texting me and he's like, oh my God, you're in the Breaking Bad movie. You're doing the break. And I was like, wait, what? Like, what? That's so crazy. I had no idea. And also, you saw it obviously. So the part ended up being very small, but I actually had several pages of dialogue and stuff that all got cut. And so I thought that
Oh.
was going to be even more of like a bigger break. And then it wasn't, but that is definitely a credit that I'm so proud of and I'm so grateful that I got to do. I was with the team for a week in Albuquerque filming, and gosh, everyone was just so professional, so talented, so passionate about what they're doing, and it was really cool. It was very inspiring.
Yes, definitely one credit to be. I mean, like just saying that you worked on Breaking Bad, like that's literally a dream come true. And yeah, speaking of, I mean, like we were talking about like the secrecy of the movie and stuff like that. I was so impressed, like hearing all the behind the scenes and stuff like that, where like they're filming in Albuquerque. Obviously, one person sees Aaron Paul down there, and they're gonna say, "Oh, Breaking Bad." And but still I was still shocked by just how good of a job they did at keeping it a secret. And so of course they filmed the whole movie, and then it was like months later before they announced it. What was it like, because anytime like Bryan Cranston, I'd see all the interviews, Bryan Cranston or Aaron Paul, they'd be asked, is there a Breaking Bad movie? They'd be like, I don't know what you're talking about. What was it like for you hearing all the speculation going like, yeah, yeah, there's a Breaking Bad movie, but I can't say nothing. What was it like just keeping that secret?
Oh, it was hard because you want to like scream it from the rooftop. And also, I'm such a public person. Like, update my Instagram story every day of everything I'm doing all the time because that's like my brand is like, hey, this is my life. And so it's so hard to like keep a secret. I'm like, I don't like secrets.
But then as soon as it came out, you were just like, oh, thank God. It's like there had to be a huge weight off your shoulder. Like, first off, now I can talk about it. But then there was also okay, I can finally talk to people without worrying, oh my God, am I going to spill the beans? Am I going to say, so yeah, what were you filming in Albuquerque there? Oh, the Breaking Bad movie. And then, oh my God, there's Breaking Bad movie. And then it just spreads like a disease, a good disease. But I gotta ask, what was it look like? Did you get to work? I mean, you and Aaron Paul didn't share a whole lot of screen time together in the movie. I don't think really at all. I think he was just observing you guys from a distance. But
Mhm.
can you describe a little bit of what it was like with Aaron Paul? Because I mean, like one of the best. I mean, no exaggeration, one of the best actors on TV. Like, were you nervous going into it, and then like working with him or seeing him? How was that?
Yeah, some people just have this presence about them, just this like crazy magnetism, and you can just tell they're just they're a star. You know what I mean? Like even if you had never seen that person before, you can look at some people and just like, oh man, that person's a star. And Aaron has that. And yeah, I got to do when I was filming a scene, Vince Gilligan, the director, was very cool about letting us kind of improv lines. You don't have to like, the script is like the skeleton, but actors are allowed to add the meat and a lot of stuff, unless you're doing comedy, then you kind of have to hit these beats. But so I'm like walking out of the warehouse and I'm talking about Cheeto. Actually, I'm like, oh, I just want to go home and take a bath with cuddle with my dog, whatever. Like I'm talking about Cheeto. So I'm just, really living in the moment of like what I would actually want to do. And that line like made it in there, which I thought was so cool. But then we were trying to figure out there's like so many logistics that you don't think about. Like when I'm at home studying lines, I don't know what the actual scene is going to look like. So at the end, when we like get in the car or whatever, like they're like, oh, well, the gate's closed. So we need to go open the gate. But like, you don't want to take a lot of time because that's not really an important aspect, or whatever. And they're like, how are we going to open the gate? And then I'm like in heels and I'm like, well, let me just like run over there and sling it open. And it's like, it seems so simple, but that was like kind of a long conversation. And then like, so we like try it or whatever and it worked. And they're like, oh, that was like really brilliant. Oh yeah, just and then like I run back and I'm like, wait for me, because that's like what I would say in real life. And so it's just like really cool to see it all come together. And I guess afterwards, so Aaron was on set for all of that and kind of watching. And then another actor texted me after that and was like, hey, I just want you to know that Aaron said that you're like really good at improv. He was like talking about you after you left. And I was like, like I like screenshotted the text and I should print it and like frame it because I thought that was so cool coming from somebody who is so amazing at their craft. It was just such a huge compliment.
Oh my God, absolutely. And one thing about Aaron Paul that always blew me away as well was the fact that I heard, I don't know how true it is, he never took an acting lesson in his life. That's what I heard about Aaron Paul. I'm like, there's no way. And then I kept looking into it and they said, no, apparently he didn't, study acting. He didn't do nothing like that. He just started working in TV, no experience. And look at this. You wouldn't have been able to tell. I'm like, there's no way. Like, wow, that's just he just has that natural like that's just unbelievable. And just that compliment right there from Aaron Paul. You should put that in your IMDb. Aaron Paul said,
For
"Improv
sure.
certified or certified by Aaron Paul." Like that's
Yeah.
quite
Four
the
stars from Aaron Paul.
yes, exactly. 4 stars from Aaron Paul. That's perfect. And speaking, you were talking about like differences working in a drama versus a comedy. You also did another Netflix film that just came out, which I love that movie so much. Old Dads, of course, Bill Burr's directorial debut. I mean, there's another guy right there. I mean, one of, if not the funniest guy there is, you know what I mean? And the fact that you got to take part in his directorial debut, what can you tell us about Old Dads?
Oh my gosh, that was such a privilege. I admire people so much that are willing to write their own stuff, produce it, and act in it, and direct it. I mean, those are all individual jobs that people want to do, and now you're doing all four of them at the same time. Like, it was just really incredible, and the set was so fun because you could tell it's like a bunch of friends, like they're all friends. You hire your actor friends and you're the people you've worked with before. And yeah, we were filming in a strip club, so there's already kind of just this element of like, oh, it's like a big party even though it's like 6 in the morning or whatever. And yeah, my boobs were out for a very long time that day. You don't see them. Yeah, I mean, you definitely see them, but like there were so many times where I'm like in the background, like walking by a table, or like there's a scene with two actors and it's like they're watching the stage and there's like you can tell there's a stripper there and her shoes go in front of the scene or whatever. I'm like, those are my shoes, when those close-ups are happening, there's usually a whole scene going on at the same time that they're like interacting with that you might not like see on camera. It doesn't make the cut or whatever. So yeah, it was just also really cool to be around people and a lot of improv happening and just a lot of like collaborative group effort to make this movie. It's not just like one person going like, okay, no, you say this and you do this. It's kind of just this group zeitgeist all working together. And it was so cool. He's so funny and so charming. And it was a good time, man.
Oh my God, that's awesome. Like I remember just reading through, I said, oh my God, Old Dads. Like, wow, that's insane. And as you said, like Bill Burr, he wrote, produced, directed, and starred in it all at once. Like that's a lot. As you said, those are each of those are jobs in and of themselves. And the fact that he did all that, and the movie turned out awesome. It was such a shame that I mean, like, listen to his podcast and stuff like that. He wasn't able to properly promote it because of the writers or the actor strike. Well, both of them really. Like, what?
For sure.
Like, how did that affect you? Because I mean, like, obviously, you're working, doing all kinds of stuff, but you're like, shit, I can't talk about my stuff because of the actor strike. Like, what was that all like? And it must be great now that that's finally, past us. People can talk about it. What's it like? Or what was it like for you personally?
I mean, it's such a bummer that stuff like that affects people kind of on the lower middle end the most. So like my career will get like the ball rolling a little bit and then like COVID will happen and shut it down. And when things open back up, that momentum isn't there. You have to rebuild it. And like same thing with the strike is like, oh, I just had 2 episodes of Mayans come out and I just had this Bill Burr movie and now I can't talk about any of it. Now I can't do interviews. Now I can't go to premieres and meet people and red carpets. And it's just like, man, like you work, I've been in the game for a little over 10 years and my acting coach always jokes, oh, after 10 years, that's when you can become an overnight success, because you're just plucked from nobody knows who you are. And all of a sudden you get that one project that like propels you forward. And I keep getting these gifts, these little gems, like, oh, an episode here, a big name here. And then it just seems like the universe is like, no. But so that was really hard. But then when I did finally get to talk about it, everyone was like, holy shit, that's so cool. So that was pretty cool. And it wasn't too long after I think it came out, and then 2 weeks later the strike ended. But yeah, I definitely used that time though in the best way possible. I'm tired of waiting for the gatekeepers, aka casting and producers, to give me permission to work on something. And I just took life by the balls and I was like, I'm going to make my own thing that I really want to do. And I ride motorcycles. And so I rode my motorcycle across country and filmed everything. And yeah, I made my own show. It's called the Iron Pony Show, and it's coming out on YouTube. I'm on episode 6 right now. Kind of about the story, and it's like, you know, travel reality, like hot chick on a motorcycle, which just doesn't exist right now. Like there are shows like Norman Reedus Ride, and Ewan McGregor has The Long Way Down, and all those. But you know, there's a lot of culture, and we think of like Anthony Bourdain and Guy Fieri and all these like big personalities traveling, eating, doing cool stuff. Where are the women? And so I was like, I'm gonna do it, and I did it, and I'm so proud of it. And then I'm gonna use that to pitch to big reality like travel channels this next year, and that's kind of the goal. But I was able to really use that time because I would have never been able to take 3 months off of work and do all that stuff, you know, because we're always kind of booking things or we have to be here to audition and stuff. And so for me, it was a blessing, or I like made sure that it turned into a blessing, even though it also sucked.
Yes, absolutely. It was funny because the last time that we had something close in recent years of the whole entertainment industry being shut down was because of COVID. In that case, it was like you literally couldn't do anything, like no matter what, like you were just cooped up at home. In this case, it was I can't work, but I can still do stuff. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like it was that was, you know, like what do you prefer, a writer's strike or a pandemic? Maybe a strike. I might go with the strike, is that way I can actually get out of my house and do stuff. So yeah, as I mentioned at the top, and you were talking a little bit, motorcycle, like that's a huge thing. You're a big motorcycle enthusiast, and your upcoming show. And then of course on YouTube you have riding Route 66, which I was keeping up with. Feel free to plug that as well. I have actually checked that out as well too, so awesome work on that
Thank
as well,
you.
so feel free to plug that.
Yeah, so actually, funny we're talking about Breaking Bad because I think episode 5 we go through Albuquerque and we go to the Owl Cafe where a scene from Breaking Bad was filmed, and I get to interview the manager, and we show some of my footage from Breaking Bad and stuff. So the whole show is kind of like you get to know me and my background as I do interviews with small business owners, and then you get to see the adventure part. And also the favorite feedback I've gotten from it is that people are like, wow, I really want to ride Route 66 now, like, or drive it, or I want to take a road trip. I want to get out. And like, I didn't even know like Victorville is like an hour from us. And people are like, I didn't even know that that cool restaurant was there. Now I want to go see it. And I was like, that means the world to me. And I have this hot pink motorcycle trailer, and my bike has pink flames. And so my other favorite thing is when little girls like come up and they're like, whoa, that's so cool. And I'm like, dude, you can do it too. Like it's a male dominated sport, but don't be scared. Like get out there, get a dirt bike, you know, like ask your dad to take you to a motorcycle show. Like it's just, I just love inspiring other people because life is too short to just like sit on your phone, you know?
Yes, and that's a problem with a lot of people nowadays. It's just like literally, if I was gonna be like what people are like nowadays, you be talking and I just be doing this. I just be scrolling through my phone. I'm sorry, were you still talking, Cody? Like, you know, like that's what people would be
Totally.
like. It's unbelievable. Like this, you know, I feel like such an old timer. This generation here, blah blah blah. It's like, well, no, like
I know, and I'm guilty of it. Like I will turn on a movie that I want to watch, and then I'll be on my phone, and I'm like, what? And then I'm working on my iPad, and I'm like, oh, I've got the small computer, the medium computer, and the big computer, and I'm not really paying. Like, what am I doing? You know? So
this weird. I feel like such a hypocrite, you know, like why am I doing this? Do you take your dogs for bike rides too, or they have seats there? Like what's it like riding with them? Might be a little
yeah. So Cheeto was my original. She like that's how I learned to ride with the dog, and she loves it. I mean, if I go to this drawer and that's where her backpack is, and as soon as I open it, she comes like racing out and she's ready to go, and she's got pink doggles and a pink Harley jacket. She's 15 now though, so she's pretty much retired from riding. I'll still take her on short rides occasionally, but Chopper is the rider now, and
I
he
was
did
just,
the yeah, he did the cross country trip with us, and we hired a support vehicle driver just in case anything happened. And so Chopper mostly hung out in the truck because I think he preferred that instead of, you know, we're riding for like 5-6 hours straight. And so he hung out in the truck a lot, but he also likes to ride. So it just depends, but they love
oh
it.
yeah. Oh no, that absolutely. I I was always kind of wondering because I mean, you know, where are they gonna sit? You know what I mean? I've never heard of anything like that. Is that what you thought at first? You're like, should I take them on the bike, or should I, if I'm gonna take them for a drive, should I take them in the car? Is that kind of how it started with you, or?
So I got my first bike 10 years ago, and I hadn't ever seen anybody ride with a dog before. I think it's kind of like common now, or maybe I don't know. But
I never knew how
I
common it was, actually. I had no idea if people did that. And then I saw the odd person on TikTok doing it. I'm like, well, people do that? Like, wow.
yeah, and then once you're what you know how TikTok like the algorithm, once you see one video like that, if you like it, now you see all the videos like that. So I feel like that's why I see so many dogs on motorcycles now. But yeah, I just had gone into this pet store and there was a backpack where like their head would stick out of. I don't know that it was necessarily meant for motorcycle riding, but it was, meant to like carry them, and it had like all these cool attachments. It felt very safe. And I like slipped her in there and I was like, "Oh, this like feels pretty good." And then I was like, oh, I could just, take her on the motorcycle. It goes, you can put it in the front or the back. So I started in the front so I could kind of watch her and monitor. And I rode with a friend who could watch her and monitor. And then I was like, dude, she loves this. And then I would just throw her on the back and we would just go. And then it got to be, she loved it so much I wouldn't even like worry about it anymore. I rode her up to Big Bear, I think is the furthest we went, which is like a 3 hour ride. And go be in nature, and she loves hiking and all that. So this dog, they're living their best lives.
Very adventurous. They're very, very lucky. That's for sure. They are super lucky. And what's this I hear? I was going through your IMDb. It says you're never afraid to wield a microphone. So are you a comedian as well too? I never knew about that.
I did the stand-up circuit for probably 6 months. I played at the Comedy Store, so I felt like, oh, okay, I made it. I played at like to me, the biggest place in the world, right? The Comedy Store, the Laugh Factory in Hollywood, or in Los Angeles. And then I was like, yep, all right, I'm good. I don't love it. Like, I really prefer scripted TV, although I guess that's funny because I'm doing a reality travel show where it's not scripted. But even then, I prefer using other people's words. There's just, I guess honestly, there's maybe it's a little less vulnerable because you are using someone else's words, whereas like comedy is just you are up there, you are responsible for everything. It is not a team effort. And like also as a young attractive female, when you get up there, people want to hate you and you have to win them over. Whereas if you are more of like a unique looking kind of dorky male, they want to root for you. So people like to root for the underdogs, and they like to hate the people that they think are like better than them. And to me, it just felt like a really toxic environment. And also like, I don't know, I would always invite my friends, and then I would feel obligated to like, oh, let me like buy your ticket, or like let me buy you a drink. And it started to get really expensive. um
I'm here to make
and
money. I'm not here to lose money.
yeah, and also it's just, comedy doesn't happen in the morning. It's late nights, and everyone's kind of drinking and doing drugs. And it was really cool for the 6 months that I did it, and I just got really burned out on it. And I was like, no, I'm just gonna. And then what if I have auditions, I have to like get up early, you know what I mean? It didn't, the lifestyle didn't suit what I was wanting to do. So I'm glad I did it. I learned so much. It was a very unique experience. I have so much respect for comedians. Oh my gosh, I think it's the hardest thing that you could do. I think it's the hardest thing and the most underappreciated thing. Stand-up comedy and dancers. Like dancers have to, like, classically trained dancers obviously train so much, and they are so underpaid compared to like other people. So
Oh
anyway,
my.
dancers and comedians, you guys rock.
You guys are the best. Absolutely. Have you ever
Yeah.
tried dancing too, or?
Oh my gosh. So when I first moved out here, I'm from a small southern town. And there, I'm just the best at everything, right? Like I can dance and I can sing, I can play open mic nights, whatever. You get to LA and you realize you are not the best at anything. In fact, everyone is better than you at everything that you thought that you were good at in your small town. And so, yeah, I went to a dance audition and I was like watching people stretch and like warm up. And I was like, oh no, what have I don't belong here. I do not belong here. And I snuck out when they were teaching choreography. I was like, I'm good. This is not what I, this is not good.
Don't dig
Very humbling.
yourself. Don't dig yourself into the hole. But when you realize looking down, this isn't where I want to go. Just get out before you go any further. I probably just butcher that whole analogy, but you guys get the idea.
Yeah,
Um,
I got it. I got it. But you don't know, like I was in culture shock when I got here. I didn't know anything about the industry. We grew up with sports and church and getting married when you're 20, like there wasn't a lot of like, go explore the world and go understand things differently. And like, you can make a living being a performer. Like that wasn't even in my vocabulary. I knew I wanted to work in entertainment. I knew like I wanted to be a performer. I just didn't know if that was a thing. And then I got telling, I was like, oh my God, it's definitely a thing, but you have to just figure out where you belong. And I remember having this like existential crisis where I was going to castings. And again, I didn't really know who I was. So I was trying to figure it out. And I would go to something that was like Girl Next Door. And they would say, oh, you're too Playboy. And I was like, okay. So then I would go to something that was more like sexy, voluptuous, like Playboy. And they'd be like, oh, you're too Girl Next Door. And I was like, what? I don't know where I fit in. I don't know where I belong. And now it's so funny to look back because I'm like, oh, I'm not really either of those things. I think I'm a little bit more like edgy and weird. And yeah, I like motorcycles. I'm a tomboy and that's the kind of stuff I like. And those were not the auditions that I was going out for because I didn't know. So an agent didn't, nobody knows, until you know who you are, nobody's going to be able to like help you go to the right thing or whatever. And so it used to bother me, because I'm like, oh, I don't know who I don't belong anywhere, man. And now I'm like, oh, okay, that wasn't for me, but all good. I know what is for me.
yeah, exactly. And uh, comparing yourself to others is always so hard. It's never good to do that because like as you said, people say, oh, like getting married at 20. There's people saying like, oh, back when I was 19 or 18, I had my own house. It's like, okay, yeah, well, you grew up in a completely different age than I did. I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, so comparing yourselves to like, I don't know, like, my parents did this when they were my age, and I want to make sure that that happens with me. It's like, well, you don't always have to go down that road. I mean, was comparing yourself to others, was that a big thing where eventually you kind of had to realize, I'm just going to go my own journey. I'm not going to let anybody else influence me. How'd that go for you?
Yeah, well, one of my favorite quotes is comparison is the thief of joy. And
Mm.
so, anytime you're comparing, you're robbing yourself of like the experience that you were having through your own unique perspective. But I think it's totally human nature, right? Because we don't know in the beginning like who we are, what we want. So we have to compare, right? I'm like, oh, do I want to save money to buy the house? Is that where I see my life going? Or do I want to save money to travel? Is that what I want? And you see people that are happy doing both and you're kind of like weighing your options or whatever. And yeah, so I think it's totally natural. So you have to like give yourself grace to forgive that, but you definitely cannot do it for too long because it will drive you nuts. And yeah, it's actually crazy because we've been self-taping now, doing self-taped auditions for so long where you don't go in a room and you don't see other people. But yeah, in the beginning, you'd be like, okay, there'd be this unique breakdown, like, oh, like pretty blonde girl, a little, there's one, yeah, it's like pretty blonde girl, a little rough around the edges. Someone could say white trash from the South, like, skinny or whatever, like very specific. And I'm like, oh, hi, that's me, grew up in a trailer park. I'm pretty skinny right now, whatever. And I would go in and there'd be 20 other girls that look identical. Like if you lined us up, you could not pick me out from the lineup. And I'm like, what the heck, and you hear them through the auditioning room and they're like using the same accent and they've got the same like kind of like pause where you pause and you're just like, son of a, I thought this was unique. But again, that's just such a green and young mindset. Also, I just think human nature. And then eventually you do a lot of self-work, you get used to the rejection and you just start to realize like, oh, like, all right, like that's cool. I'm just gonna do me, And
You,
if you are genuinely, authentically you, it sounds so cheesy, but you won't be like everybody else. Your performance won't be like anybody else's. And oh, one of my favorite things that my acting coach told me was, like, oh, so if you have an audition for a lawyer, right? All of us could be a lawyer, right? So you're like, oh, I'm a lawyer, and you put on your lawyer clothes and you all walk in and you put your hair back in a bun, right? And you all look the same. Well, like, what is your lawyer though? Like, as Cody, what is your lawyer? And he's like, you're probably going to be wearing a pencil skirt with like a button that's a little too low, I'm like, okay, yeah. And he's like, maybe your hair is a little messy because you didn't shower last night. I'm like, okay, yeah, that fits. And he's like, and maybe you spilled coffee on yourself this morning because you were in a rush, because you were late, because you were like hungover, or whatever the story you're telling yourself is. And he's like, and that's your lawyer. So now you go into that audition, like that's not all written on the page for you, but that's who you are as the lawyer. So that's the lawyer you go in with, who's like, maybe a little grouchy and maybe like using sex appeal a little bit, and that's not what the other person is going to do. You know what I mean? Like my description does not sound probably like what your description of your lawyer would be, right? Like,
Yeah, absolutely, and that's always great. Like directors and stuff, they want actors to, have their own interpretation of a character. They don't want, every, individual person, like 20 people all have the exact same, interpretation of that character. It's like, no, just because you will be living the character, so put yourself in that mindset and just how do you see the person, and then
yeah,
just act it out, hear how it sounds. If it works, it works. If it doesn't,
yeah.
move on to
Like
the next gig.
when you're making those very, you just have to be so much more specific. Whereas, like, again, when I was young, I would walk in and be like, we're all blonde and cute. Oh no, how am I ever going to book this? And now I'm like, I am so specifically giving you something. If that's what you want, then then perfect. We're a match. But if it's not what you want, if you want the rich lawyer who came from a rich family and like really has her stuff together, or whatever, then that's just not me. And so that's great. Like if you wore the pencil skirt in there, we might be like, oh, okay, I don't know.
That's my next audition. Working away at it. Yeah, no, so that's great advice as well too. Like, like comparison is not good. Find who you are through your own journey. You know what I mean? Like that's a great way to live. Um, Cody, awesome talking with you, and feel free to give a I know we talked about your upcoming show there earlier, but feel free to give, I don't know, like a big sales pitch or something like that, why people should tune in, where they should watch it. uh Feel free.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, my name's Cody Renee Cameron. You can Google me. But most of my socials are at Hey It's Cody, HEYITSCODEE. Um, and yeah, I have a show out on my YouTube channel. To find that, you go to youtube.com/@ Iron Pony Show. It's kind of a newer channel, so you very specifically have to type that in, otherwise it won't populate, which is super annoying. It's so hard because I have 500,000 fans on Instagram, so you can find me like that. But because YouTube, I've been doing it for less than a year, it's so hard to find. So again, it's youtube.com/@ Iron Pony Show. And yeah, that is my labor of love. It is a thing that I am most proud of. I have pumped my heart and soul and time and energy into that, and also some of my own money. I fundraised and got sponsors that really supported me, but also have spent a lot of money myself on my editor, who is amazing. But yeah, definitely a labor of love. So I appreciate every single view, comments, subscription. So, if you are feeling generous today, it does not cost anything for you to go click that subscribe button and watch 30 seconds of an episode and see if you like it. It's super relatable. We're just riding motorcycles cross country, stopping at food joints, talking to small business owners, people we meet at gas stations, people that could be your grandma or your best friend. And there's a dog in it, so how could you not love it?
Million subscribers immediately right at the bat.
Yeah, but if you hate dogs and fun, then don't watch it.
Yeah, exactly. That's a perfect way. Yeah, if you don't like dogs, don't watch. How about that? That's the perfect.
Yeah.
I actually might make that the title of this episode. If you don't like dogs, don't watch.
Cute. I love it.
Thank you for that idea, by the way. I had
Oh,
something
well,
else prepped. I had a few different ideas prepped, but now that's going to be the title. I love it.
yeah. Well, and this whole project too, as I was coming up with it, I was like, something just felt like just like off about it. And then finally I was like, oh my gosh, it needs to be a charity. That's the part I'm missing. Like I want to give back to the community that's given so much to me. And so yeah, I raised $7,000 for Chopper's dog rescue, where he was rescued from. And so that's just something else that I'm really proud of. And then in every episode, we ask people to donate. So hopefully we've raised more money than 7K. But yeah, it's wagmorepets.org. And they're this amazing rescue in LA that rescues other like dogs in other countries and other states and stuff. But they do amazing charity work since we're talking about dogs. So yay, dogs.
Dogs, gotta love them.
Yeah.
Cody, thank you so much for coming on. First, congratulations for everything you're doing. You're doing awesome stuff with not just all your movie projects and stuff like that, but with your motorcycle show, riding show, all the charity work you're doing. Keep it up. We need more people like you on this earth. That's for sure. We need more people like you. One person can make a difference, and you've certainly made a difference. So thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you. I appreciate you. And I'm glad you rescued your doggy too.
Yeah, actually, mine's not a rescue. Actually, I got mine from a breeder who's local here. Actually, so I did rescue. Well, my very first dog was actually a rescue. Actually, and he passed away back 2019, Christmas Day 2019 was when he passed away.
But
So
you've given a dog a home, and to me that's like,
yes, exactly. So even no matter where you get your dog, it's a rescue because they could have sent them off God knows where, you know what I mean? So the fact that, we give them the best home that we possibly can, that's everything, Is that your dog in the background? Thought I saw a tail wagging.
Yeah, this is Chopper.
See, oh my God, look at him. This is audio only, so people are like, I want to see the dog. Go on our YouTube channel, guys, if you want to see the dog. Is Chopper on the YouTube channel?
Oh yeah, he's in like every thumbnail too. So
yes, this is the perfect plug. Then, if you want to see if you want to see a dog, you have to go to her channel. Now, this is where everyone floods over to your channel.
Exactly.
Perfect plug. So, guys, we are going to take a short break. We'll be right back. But until then, this is Franky and Cody signing off. Thank you, Cody.
Bye.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Cork Entertainment Show. That was me chatting with Cody Renee Cameron. Definitely be sure to check her out on YouTube at Iron Pony Show on YouTube and watch Riding Route 62. Riding Route 66. Thank you so much for coming on, Cody. Really appreciate it. And Merry Christmas to you and your family and your fur babies. And thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. So, it's just crazy. The fact that I'm saying this now for our first solo discussion. 2 years ago, we had Spider-Man No Way Home come out, which I'm still in shock that I'm even saying that it's been 2 years. I still remember when, like, around the time when it came out last year, it's just crazy that I'm saying that because when it came out last year, it was still in the probably one of the worst parts of the pandemic. It was around the time where just everything was just miserable. Can't do nothing, can't do anything. Aside from hey, if you're gonna go to the movie theater, wear a mask, wear this, do that, and so when we got to No Way Home, it was one of those situations where because of all the rising levels of the COVID, restrictions and stuff like that, all that stupid shit, or not stupid shit. I guess they were doing what had to be safe. But anyways, it was a whole catastrophe. All of 2020 and 2021, and No Way Home was like the shining light. It was like the light at the end of the tunnel. I was like, oh my God, man, this makes me this is everything. This is like everything. Because honestly, I'm trying to think. No Way Home was probably the first movie I saw since COVID. I'm trying to think. Did I? I'm not sure if I saw something before that or not. I don't know. Oh no, it's not, because I saw Halloween that year. Halloween Kills or Ends, whichever one came out that year. So No Way Home, it was just everything, just being able, having something to look forward to again during the pandemic, And then here we are now, and it's 2 years later, and the movie still holds up. So just a throwback review. I thought this would be the perfect time to do a nice throwback review of the movie. One of the best MCU movies ever. Hands down, the best Spider-Man movie we've ever had. Or at least the best Tom Holland one we had. Because, I mean, of course, Spider-Man 2 with Sam Raimi, Tobey Maguire, that one there is very, very hard to beat. And for me, my favorite Spider-Man movie before then was the first Andrew Garfield one. That's still probably like my favorite one. I know, like, might be an unpopular opinion. I'm like, hey, I'm not saying it's the best. I still think Spider-Man 2 with Sam Raimi is the best. But which one do I like the best? Which one's my favorite? Probably the Amazing Spider-Man 1. And that's just my opinion. I know people say, "Oh, but the Spider-Verse or this or that." Blah, blah. No, yeah, it's like, just look, movies are subjective. You know what I mean? Like, they are subjective. If I said Spider-Man 3 was my number one, then I'd be like, "Oh, that's like, Frankie, I think, like, are you okay?" That's when I'd be getting like all the concerning messages and emails. Like, "Are you okay? Do you need help? Did we watch the same movie?" So No Way Home, of course, picks up after Spider-Man Far From Home, where Mysterio has revealed Spider-Man's identity as Peter Parker, and turning his whole life upside down, turning his friends' lives upside down, and so he goes to Doctor Strange to cast a spell to make everyone forget that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, but then in doing so, no, I want so-and-so to remember me, I want MJ to know who I am, I want Ned to know who I am, blah, 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 and if fucks everything up, and then we get all these villains. The multiverse opens up, and we get to see all kinds of amazing villains from all the other Spider-Man movies in different universes. Of course, we have Alfred Molina as Doc Ock, Willem Dafoe as Green Goblin, Thomas Hayden Church as Sandman, and Rhys Ifans, I'm not sure how you pronounce his last name, as the Lizard, of course. And Jamie Foxx as Electro as well. And oh my god, I feel like I'm missing somebody. Am I missing somebody? Did I get them all? No, I think that's everybody. Yeah, I think that's everybody. And so right off the bat, though, I mean, one thing that I think is a huge pro of the movie is that the fan service did not take away from solid, good storytelling. With these movies and like people just saying, "Oh, just throw Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin in there." He's from the first Spider-Man movie, the first ever live-action Spider-Man movie. People will just love it just because, even if it serves no purpose or whatever, people will like it. Toby and Andrew, just throw Toby and Andrew in there. People will just think that's amazing, even if they have nothing to do with the story. But the fact that they put them in there, they had all these throwbacks to all the other movies and all the old actors coming back. It still felt right. It felt like that's what that like my big concern was. I said, okay, take Toby and Andrew out of the movie, take Willem Dafoe out of the movie, take Alfred Molina out of the movie. Is it still a good movie? And the answer is yes. It absolutely is a good movie. Or well, maybe not throw the villains out. I mean, like, take Toby and Andrew out of it, because I think really, I mean, as exciting as it was to see like the villains and stuff like that, I think Toby and Andrew was the thing that people were really excited to see again. But yeah, I said take Toby and Andrew out of the movie. Is it still a good movie? And the answer is yes. It absolutely is a fantastic movie. But having them in it was just like like the cherry on top. You know what I mean? So even if they weren't in it, then it still would have worked. So I was just so glad that we didn't they didn't let the fan service just take over everything, and that we just get a movie that's just filled with just, oh, here's so and so, here's oh look, remember me? I used to play Peter Parker. Yeah, look at me now, and look at me, I used to play Doc Ock. Like I'm the original Doc Ock, and then it didn't take away from the story at all. We still got an absolutely stellar movie, amazing script, amazing story, great emotion. That's like, it's definitely the most emotional of the, 3 Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. Probably one of the most emotional Spider-Man movies ever. I think Amazing Spider-Man 2 kind of, takes that one out, of course, with the death of Gwen Stacy being so tragic. But yeah, so just didn't let that take away from anything. They were able to do all the fan service, but yet give us a solid script and a solid story, and it really worked. Next pro, I must say too, has to be the performances, but in particular Willem Dafoe. Willem Dafoe. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. Always thought Willem Dafoe was fantastic. Even in the first Spider-Man movie, he was awesome as like our very first live-action Spider-Man villain. Green Goblin's like my favorite Spider-Man villain. So, but just oh my god, it was just when I watched No Way Home. And I mean, like, and also keep in mind that it was a while since I've seen like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies before that. So I guess I didn't really appreciate back then just how good Willem Dafoe was. Seeing him in No Way Home, it was just like slipping back into it. The dude was 60 some years old, like mid to late 60s, and he's like, the only way I'm coming back is if I could do my own stunts, and he absolutely crushed it. And he just proves that, yeah, I mean, as amazing as everything else was, as amazing as Tom Holland was, as amazing it was to see all the three Spider-Man, Willem Dafoe just came back and proved why he's the best Spider-Man villain of all time, in my opinion. And just, yeah, him in particular, I think was the show stealer. I was just mesmerized by his mesmerized puberty. I was just mesmerized by his performance in this. So he was fantastic. Tom Holland, Zendaya, they were all awesome as well too. But definitely Willem Dafoe was the show stealer for me. And it's surprising because I say Andrew Garfield, yeah, he was absolutely fantastic too. And he was one of the reasons why I was so looking forward to Spider-Man No Way Home. But Willem Dafoe just stole everything. Willem Dafoe was just the best part of the movie, in my opinion. As awesome as Tobey and Andrew were, which that's going to be my next pro, the fact that they put them in there, and not just, I mean, kind of going back to the fan service, not taking away from good, solid storytelling, they very easily could have just had them show up and just, hey, guys, I used to play Spider-Man. Look at me. And then just pop in and then pop out and just might take you out of it. They played a crucial role in the movie. Like, it was basically through their experiences and Toby, him talking about like, yeah, like my anger, or like, I got my Uncle Ben killed, and Andrew says, yeah, I couldn't save Gwen, like she died, I got rageful or whatever. And then we see him redeem himself for not being able to save Gwen by saving MJ, which was one of the most heartfelt moments in the entire movie, and definitely his best part of the movie. But just seeing the three of them just talking, I'm like, I literally could have watched that for 2 hours and I would have just been absolutely just blown away. It was so good. It was just so amazing seeing that. And even though I know that there were lots of like, is Toby and Andrew gonna be in the movie? Like, are they in it? Oh, they're not in it. Andrew Garfield saying he's not in it, which is just a meme from now on, that he's just denying that he's in it. Someone made a joke. They said, I really hope that even after the movie comes out, that Andrew still denies that he's in it. Like, that's just basically what it is. There's literally like leaked photos everywhere of him on the set, and he's just like, that's not me. Which, I mean, to be fair, what's he supposed to say? He's under contract. He can't outright say anything, But just even if we knew it was coming, like, they never outright confirmed it. Even though, because I mean, I was kind of guessing, like, as soon as the reports first came out, I'm like, no, there's no way. It's just a bunch of shit. And then we saw some pictures of Toby on set, and then we saw the picture of Andrew on set in costume that leaked, green screen video, and then it was kind of like, okay, they're probably in it. And then, of course, we had those ones that were leaked by John Campea accidentally, which basically just confirmed, like, okay, yeah, they're in it. Like, don't worry, guys, they're in it. And I even said, I said, the one thing, I mean, like, going into it, I said, I just want to know if Toby and Andrew are in it. I didn't see the movie till that Saturday, and I texted a friend who went and saw it the day before. I'm like, only spoiler I want to know is are Toby and Andrew in it? And they just said, yes, they are. So I just, okay, that's all I need to know. And even seeing them still was so exciting. Like, it was like, it didn't even matter that I knew that they were going to be in it. It was just still so exciting. Even going on YouTube and watching the videos of just people getting so excited when Andrew steps out and takes off his mask, the audience just flips out. So good. Absolutely fantastic. My theater wasn't doing that. We were also we almost got our seats taken away. We bought our seats online, our tickets online, and they walked up to us and said that sorry, due to COVID rules, we're like, can you guys move this way? And it was like 8 of us or something like that, and we all bought them together. And it was like, can 4 of you move down 2 rows ahead of you, and left 3 of us up there. And it was like, what are you still? It was just so weird. It was like, even just saying that kind of confuses me. It was just, that whole day was so fucked up. And then the manager came and he's like, what the fuck? You're not supposed, like guys, what are you doing? Like, you guys got to move. It was just like, oh my God. Anyways, we ended up seeing it. It was everything. It was just, that time with COVID was just so like, oh my God. Like, it was just so crazy. Anyways, I'm getting off track about the movie. I don't know why I went off that tangent. But my big critiques with the movie were, first off, was some of the humor was, and I mean, like, I get it, MCU was known for a lot of this stuff, quirky MCU humor, but in this one, it just didn't land for me. A lot of them were just like, okay, they're trying too hard, which, I mean, now, I know, I say Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, I like their humor better, even though, like, that was, like, all, it's supposed to be humorous or whatever, but it's I don't know. For this one here, it was just like, I felt it was too much. Guardians of the Galaxy, it just kind of works, but with the Spider-Man movies, I was just kind of thinking like, okay, yeah, like, a lot of the jokes were funny, don't get me wrong, but then there were some points where I'm like, okay, you're trying so hard, just stop. Like, it's just, it was kind of annoying. And the other one was just how they wrote Peter during the whole we need to save these people, like, we need to save the villains, like, he wants to keep them in, and before sending them back, he wants to help them first, which, it's a nice thing to do, but it was, to me, I'm like, man, why are you doing this, man? Like, you're literally putting everybody's lives in danger just to save these villains that you don't even really know these people, you know what I mean? Like, why do you want to help? Like, it almost just seemed like he just wanted to just prove that he was the good guy, and he just wanted to just, hey, guys, I just helped these people, like, just to make himself look better. But what he was doing was putting everybody at risk, and in doing so, it got Aunt May killed, which, I mean, like, I get it. It really, really helped for his character that feels the guilt, like it's all my fault and everything, which, I mean, yeah, like, you should have just sent them home. You should have just, like, it was just, there's so many ways it could have been avoided. I personally didn't like that, and I know there was a lot of people who didn't like that either. I just thought they could have handled it a little better, that part, like, maybe, like, just have some other reason why he wants to help them so bad, or maybe not that, just some way that just didn't make him look so selfish. It was just that part that really bothered me about his character, was that he didn't give a shit about anybody else, but just, we got to help these people. It's like, no, man, like, and even Doctor Strange, like, he knows more about the multiverse than anybody would, and he's just like, look, like, you can't fuck with this, basically. You cannot fuck with the multiverse. And he just took it, he, went out of his way, I want to look like the good guy here, and this and that, and then went out and, all this bad stuff happened. So that was my big critique, my big critique, and I was just like, I just wish they could have handled that a lot better. But aside from that, and aside from the humor that felt off at some parts, it was an absolutely fantastic movie, and it's one that, I think we're all going to remember forever. And, just, I talked a couple weeks ago about how Spider-Man 4 is in development. Tom Holland gave kind of an update on it, and I'm so looking forward to seeing it and just seeing how it goes from there. And I just hope that in the next Spider-Man movie that they don't retcon really anything. I know people say, oh, we want to see Peter reconcile with MJ and Ned. I'm like, personally, I don't want that, because it would just undermine the whole ending of No Way Home. It's the same reason why I don't want Robert Downey Jr. to come back as Iron Man, because it's just gonna, it's gonna ruin the entire, his entire sacrifice at the end of Endgame, and that's kind of the same deal with No Way Home. He literally loses everything he cares about just so they can be safe. So if it just goes back to just, hey, he actually remembers them, it was just so powerful, it might ruin it a bit. So we'll see how it goes. But 2 years ago, man, it's crazy. It's still crazy to think about that. Guys, definitely be sure to let me know what you think about Spider-Man No Way Home 2 years later. Does it still hold up for you? Is it still one of the best movies you ever saw? Definitely be sure to let me know your thoughts on that and just give your review. I'd love to hear your review on that. And our last main discussion topic today is it's not going to be a very, very big one. I kind of got the big one out of the way out the bat with No Way Home, but I wanted to talk about Lucky Hank. Now, this is a show, for those of you guys who don't know what it is, this was, of course, the new Bob Odenkirk series right after Better Call Saul. Based off the book Straight Man, Bob Odenkirk plays Hank Devereaux. He's a college professor in a university who's on the verge of like a midlife crisis, full blown meltdown, all that kind of stuff. Very very office kind of type thing. With all the crazy teachers and his his coworkers, and he also has some family troubles as well. It had an 8-episode first season that was on AMC. It aired back in March. And after the finale, it was around April, May, we didn't hear anything about a renewal for a long time. And so we're kind of thinking, like, is it renewed? But then, of course, we had the writer's strike. So it was kind of like, okay, maybe it's just, we just don't know, like, maybe they don't know. Maybe they're just trying to get their shit together because of the strike. But we just found out last week that no, Lucky Hank is going to be canceled. It's not going to be renewed for season 2. What are my thoughts? It's a bummer. I gotta say it is a bummer. I understand why it's being canceled, but that doesn't mean it's it's, as much as I understand it, I also agree. You know what I mean? From a business point of view. Lucky Hank was a really good show. I actually really, really enjoyed it. There were parts of it that were like, I mean, like the first couple episodes were really good. The next couple kind of dragged out a bit. Episode 5, I think, was probably the best episode of them. It was absolutely fantastic. Very emotional, very, that was the moment where I'm like, okay, this show is something special, and hopefully it can go on longer. And then it went out pretty strong, or fairly strong, not like big finale, but it was a decent ending to the season, or series now, I should say. So I it kind of serves as a nice mini series. Like, I mean, I won't spoil it for people who haven't watched it, but I mean, when you watch the finale, it is a very nice way to, I mean, like, it's, you can tell they were kind of setting it up for a second season. But they were also kind of leaving it fairly wrapped up. So then that way, if it didn't get a season 2, then we'd be somewhat satisfied. And I think that worked out in that end. But to me, I think the problem is, some people think, like, just because a show is fantastic and like, oh my God, this show is really, really good and I love the show, that doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be renewed. Like, the thing is, because I mean, like, even like, let me just pull up the ratings for it. I just want to pull up Lucky Hank. I thought I should have had this ready. Lucky Hank. I just want to see if it has like the ratings. Yeah. So like U.S. million viewers, 0.300. Yeah, just between, yeah, like it's really not much. You know what I mean? Like, it's not many people watched it, and that's the problem, because I mean, quantity over quality at this point. Sure, the show may have been good. The show had lots of potential, but if it's losing the money to make it, if it's there's a lot of factors at play aside from just, I like the show and I want to see it continue, and there's lots of different angles to it. You know what I mean? Like, would I have renewed it? I mean, as a fan of the show, absolutely I would have, but I mean, from a business point of view, you got to look at a business. Now, the viewership things that I just read, like the ratings for the entire show, that I don't believe that includes like streaming. Well, I mean, because nowadays, who watches streaming? Or sorry, who watches cable? Nobody. It's all streaming nowadays. So I mean, that's where I watched a lot of the episodes. I watched maybe 2 episodes on cable, and then I just watched the rest on AMC Plus. So I don't know how well it was doing on AMC Plus. I mean, I pop on Reddit because, I mean, I like every time I watch a TV show that I like, I follow the subreddit and keep up with, the post-episode discussions and predictions for the next episode. Lucky Hank, I would go on the episode discussion, and it would be like 4 comments. Like, nobody was, really seemed interested in it, which is a shame because, the show did have a lot of potential. Bob Odenkirk, of course, fantastic actor. But one problem that I had with the show too, I mean, a a lot of the characters were just so incredibly unlikable. And in some cases, it's good for shows like that, to have people who are flawed and this and that. But there were just so many characters where we're watching, and I'm like, I don't like this person. Like his daughter is just the worst. Like, she's just such an annoying little shit, and she's just like, oh. There's just so much wrong with it, really. And his coworkers, I mean, like, of course, I mean, like, that's what they're trying to get at, that, his coworkers are pains in the asses. But it got to the point where I'm just like, and you guys are treating Hank like he's the bad guy. I'm like, well, no, like, Hank's just, you guys are just like, cut him some fucking slack. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, and look, I mean, like, the protagonist, I mean, it's one of those things where as long as the protagonist is likable, then that's the main thing. But it was almost like they were trying to show that the protagonist is just an asshole. It's like, he's not really an asshole. You know what I mean? Like, people are pushing his buttons, and people are just being a dick to him. You know what I mean? And, like, he's just snapping, and then they're looking at him like he's the bad guy. That's just how I see it. And that was just the one thing that I really couldn't stand, where just the characters were just I just could not stand them a lot of times, aside from Hank. You know what I mean? But anyways, that's where I stand on that. I mean, that's kind of a short topic. I kind of want to just say, like, I am a little upset that the show is not going to get renewed. And I was really kind of pushing for it, and really hoping that we're going to get a season 2. But unfortunately, it is what it is. Like, if it's not working for AMC, then they kind of got to, those are decisions that you got to make in business. If it's not working, you got to just cut ties and move on. That's just the way the cookie crumbles. But anyways, guys, if any of you listening have watched Lucky Hank, definitely be sure to let me know what you think, because, I liked it. Quantity over quality in this case. If people aren't watching it, if it's taking in the ratings, then there's no sense in continuing it on, But definitely interested to see where you guys stand on that. Maybe some of you haven't even watched it. Who knows? But, Bob Odenkirk's a fantastic actor, of course. After Better Call Saul, he's going to have no trouble getting work. To him, it's just like, yeah, whatever. All right, like, I got 20 other calls for TV shows. I'll just, go take one of them, basically. But, yeah, anyway, so, guys, we're going to call it for the show there today. I want to thank my guest, Cody Renee Cameron. Guys, definitely just another plug. Be sure to go on at Iron Pony Show on YouTube and check out Riding Route 66 with Cody Renee Cameron. And, yeah, so thank you guys so much. Thank you for listening to the podcast every Tuesday. I'll see you all on Saturday. We're also going to have a guest on there as well. I'll announce on social media who that is. And so our last Tuesday episode, season finale this Saturday. Take a break for a week, and then we'll be back the next Tuesday for season 3. Super stoked. Thank you guys so much, and we'll call it there for the show today. So take her easy, guys. Merry Christmas to to all of you. Happy holidays. Even though I will still see you guys on Saturday. Either way, enjoy the holidays. Maybe you're not going to bother listening to podcasts until after Christmas. But so if this is the last episode that you listen to this year, thank you so much, and I hope you come back for season 3. So take her easy, guys.